What is up, everyone? All right, we are going to get ready together and chat. And I asked you guys what your unpopular opinions about anything under the sun were, and you guys really came through. Some of these made me laugh so hard, and some of them I was like, what? I guffawed. So I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of things to chat about. I think this is going to be an interesting one, and yeah, let me know. What are your unpopular opinions? Maybe you didn't get to answer or I didn't share yours in this video. Let us know below. Let's get a discussion going. All friendly, please. You know, like, let's not. I just find this interesting, and it's some of these are silly, and like we'll talk about that, but some of them are a little bit deeper. And I think it's important that we can still have discussions that, you know, don't have to descend into absolute madness of like one person thinks this thing and the other, and there's no way through it but just arguing. I think we got to be able to have our own opinions, you guys. Like, we've got to move beyond this. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that because, like I said, some of these get a little deeper, and I don't want the comment box to become, like I said, I don't want it to descend into madness. Let's all be civil and just, we can have our own opinion. Okay, let's dive in. Let's start strong. Steph Olive said, PSLs suck. That made me laugh. The wording of it made me laugh. You know what? I can't agree with that. I don't agree with that, but I know what you mean. And I feel like I agree with the sentiment of that. And what I mean is, you know, the whole pumpkin spice latte thing, when it started years ago and became such a thing, I told Tyler, like back then I would like have one a year maybe. Of course, I was also younger and I don't know. But anyway, my point is, I feel like nowadays with the other pumpkin drinks they offer that I like more, I couldn't tell you the last time I actually got a PSL. Like, it's been years. And I didn't even realize. I'm like, yeah, I always go and I get the pumpkin cream cold brew. Or I get, you know what I mean? Like something like that. I like don't really ever get a PSL. Maybe I get one once a year. I'm trying to like really think, or maybe do like an iced one, but like a true classic hot PSL, I don't know. I'm not wildly into it. It is very sweet. But I do think it's fun to have something like that, like as a treat if you like pumpkin flavor. But the other thing is, like, a lot of people were commenting that you just don't like pumpkin flavored things. So like this season is not nearly as fun for you and festive because you just aren't into it. I like that a lot of coffee places, Starbucks included, are now doing like, you know, apple crisp, this, that, and the other. And they're doing like the chai tea latte, although that I think is still pumpkin. But they're branching out a bit, which I always think is nice. So, you know, it is what it is. But I still get into the excitement, though, of the fall drinks at Starbucks, and I know some people really do not. And, you know, I also got a lot of comments that were like, I hate coffee. Like, that is and you guys were apologizing to me since I love coffee. Like, sorry, Jess. That made me laugh. I'm excited to get some concealer on. I feel it has not been very restful nights the past few nights. Gigi's been up a lot, and it's just been, she hasn't been feeling well. So, I mean, you can just see it. You know what I mean? Just, We are throwing on. I'll link any products I'm using below, but I just used the RMS Beauty SPF 30 I'm really liking, and then I'm going to use the Misha number 23. This is that, you know, my beloved Misha BB cream. I finally bought a fresh one. I haven't had this in a while, and the second I used it again the other day, I was like, oh, it was like getting into a warm bath. The single greatest face like foundation or BB cream I've ever used. Still stands up, still the greatest. So this is shade number 23. It's very, very neutral, which is part of why I love it, but it always makes my skin look like skin. I always get it for like 10 bucks on Amazon, so I can link the exact one below because sometimes there's like limited edition ones, and I don't know. You want to make sure you get it from like the right seller. So I'll link it, but all right, let's dive into some more unpopular opinions. Okay, Sarah Casalas said, I'm not ready to let go of my skinny jeans. Girl, you hold on to those skinny jeans as long as you want. I'm never getting rid of mine because some of mine are really nice and they fit me just right, and I still wear them. Like, I think because we live in this era of the internet where, and especially like if you're watching this video, you're probably someone, you're like on social media, you're looking at a lot of the same things I'm looking at, and you feel like bombarded with content about like, here are these like loose, I mean, I myself have shared about like wide leg jeans I've found that I actually like, and you know, that kind of thing. And it does feel like it was such a quick switch where like suddenly everyone was like, well, skinny jeans aren't cool, and if you're wearing skinny jeans, you're a nerd, or I don't know, or old. I'm like, well, guess what? I am old. And you know what? Joke's on you, because I'm not that old. But joke's on you, because I was around like the first time, a lot of these trends that are coming around, we were around for the original trends. So now, oh boy, that does mean I'm old. My point is, trends are just trends and they come and go. And who really cares? Like, I don't think I have ever looked at another person and been like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're wearing skinny jeans. What a weirdo. Like, ever. Have you? And so I feel like we are all so in our heads about it, and it just doesn't matter. And if you're comfortable in skinny jeans and because that's the thing, I'm like, I feel like I'd finally perfected, like I said, I'd found all the pairs I really like. Like, I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm good on jeans. Now I feel like I'm starting all over. So no, I'm holding on to my skinny jeans. I like trying the trends. And I will say this, I was really against high-waisted stuff. I was really against like the wide leg trend. I've gotten into it a little bit more because, well, high-waisted I got into a while ago because like anything you're uncomfortable with, it kind of like covers it, and that I think is kind of nice. The wide leg trend, I think it's just a matter of trying a lot on, because when I first like would try things on, I'm like, nope, this looks insane. Like I hate the way I look. I hate, but now that I've gotten into more, not necessarily totally wide leg, but just like looser jeans in general, I've realized like, oh, these are actually like really comfy. I can sit in my car and bend my legs and not feel like my knees are being squeezed from the skinny jeans. And there is something to that I'm like, oh, like this is actually pretty comfortable. Same with like flare and like boot cut jeans. I'm really into that. And same thing, it's looser around the knee, whereas my skinny jeans were so tight that I felt like it, I don't know. Anyway, so I have no answer. I agree with you. I'm not ready to let go, but I guess this is just my little nudge to feel free to try on all of the new jeans though. You might be surprised by the way it looks on you. You might be surprised by the comfort level, or you might try them on and be like, yep, I'm right. I'm sticking with skinny jeans, and that's cool too. I still don't know how I feel about the Tower 28 concealer. It's every once in a while I get these products where I don't know, like it's like I don't think it's bad, but like I'm not like dying to use it, but I can't really pinpoint what it is that I don't like about it. I'm gonna let it sit and get tacky just for a second and try that. Get 'em Carter said, I'm over remote work and want to be back in an office. So one, I could do a whole video about this. There's obviously been a trend to, ever since like pretty much everyone was working from home in 2020, etc., a lot of companies realized, like, you know what, we could save money if we just have them work from home and not pay for all these offices and this, that, and the other. And like some companies will just like keep their one headquarters, and then all of their like regional branches, they're like, oh, well, we could just have all of those people work from home, So I feel like a lot has been shaken up ever since basically it was a forced science experiment on everyone to work from home and try to see like how that goes. So I think a lot of good can come from that, and a lot of like isolation, loneliness, all of those kinds of things that naturally come with that I think a lot of us felt, especially at the beginning of all of that. So my thing is, and I've told this story recently, so I'll try to keep it brief, but I used to teach. When I had Genevieve, my first daughter, I stopped teaching. Wasn't sure if I would like stop forever, if you will, but I was already doing YouTube and it was going well. So I was like, I'll just do that more full-time, etc. So that was in 2018. So obviously we know what happened in 2020. And so I had already been working from home, and that was already a struggle, and I was postpartum, so it was hard. Then we were like, everyone was forced to go home. And I think now we can all commiserate in, you either really like that and thrive on that, or you really don't. And it takes so long to get used to. And we talked about this in the Q&A Tyler and I did. I can link below because we can talk about some juicy stuff in that. That one, we cry, we do it all. I just think there's a lot of pros and cons from working from home and going into a job. And I am someone that I actually really do miss having coworkers. Like I genuinely miss, break room talk, if you will. Like that is something I don't think if you'd asked me when I was working, if I would miss that, I'd be like, no, because like, but I do. I totally miss it. Not enough that I want to like stop what I'm doing and go back, but I could see in my future going back to like teaching, just because I just miss teaching, but not right now. I'm not going back right now. Everything's crazy. I think that unpopular opinion might not be as unpopular as you think. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are, and I think a lot of things are going back to offices too. Like at this point, especially, hopefully the companies have made a decision like, okay. And I think a lot of companies have done the hybrid. Like most of my friends have some sort of hybrid thing where certain days a week they're in the office and then certain days they're not, which I think that might be the best of both worlds. Okay, this made me laugh. Trisha Marie said, when someone says, and go, on a Facebook or Instagram post, it grinds my gears. So if you don't know what she means, that made me laugh way too hard when I first read it. If you don't know what she means, if like someone's like, hey guys, I need recommendations for like a great steakhouse to take my parents when they're in town, whatever. So, you know, give me your suggestions and go. That drives me nuts as well. And it always has. And I don't know what it is. It's almost that like for me, a lot of people I was friends with on Facebook would do it all of the time. Like every post was something like that and it would end with and go. And I don't know. And it was like this whole group of people that it just drove me nuts. And I don't, what is it about that that's annoying? I don't know, but it is annoying. And I think part of it is now like that people have been saying that for so many years that it's just like kind of an eye roll. I don't know. I don't see it nearly as often, but anytime I do, I'm like, hide post. No, I'm kidding. I do need to like clear house on my personal Facebook though. I was looking at it. I'm like, I'm friends with so many people that like I friended and like added them while I was in college, but like I didn't know them well. And so now I'm like, I'm seeing all these pictures of them married and doing their thing. And I'm like, I don't even really know them. So I'm like, I feel like I should kind of clear out some of that just because it's not really serving me because I don't really care. Like I want to be able to see the friends and stuff I do know personally. Anywho, so many people said this. Meg Kathleen said, I don't like ketchup on anything. It's too sweet. No, thank you. First of all, there was a weird amount of fixation from you guys on condiments. Like so many people's unpopular opinion had to do with condiments, ketchup, mayo, ranch. But I agree. Ketchup is something that if it didn't exist or like suddenly was somehow not going to exist anymore, I'd be like, okay, I couldn't tell you the last time I ate it. Certain fries I do think lend themselves well to it, but I'm totally like a mayo dipper. Like I'll mix the ketchup, I'll do the matchup, you know, ketchup and mayo. But, you know, I don't know. It's one of those, I agree, it's too sweet for what it's worth. Like if I'm going to have something like that, I'm going to pick something way more delicious. I also totally like, I love dipping fries in like honey mustard and just other things. Love honey mustard. My dad, I wonder if he still does this, would put ketchup on his eggs. I know he definitely does hot sauce. I know growing up, he always put ketchup on his eggs, so I did too. Copied a lot of things he did. But I haven't done that in a long time. Sometimes I'll put like syrup, like if it's on my plate and it gets on the eggs. I'm into that. Like I'm not going to intentionally pour it on there, but like it's good. A lot as well focused on Taylor Swift and Beyonce. And most people saying Taylor Swift is overrated, Beyonce's overrated. My thoughts on Beyonce are that woman can sing and dance and act and she's beautiful. Like I don't think Beyonce's overrated. I will say though, I haven't really listened to a lot of her new stuff, so I can't really speak to like that. But I have always thought Beyonce is a ridiculously talented person. So I don't know that I agree that she's overrated. I certainly don't agree that Taylor Swift is overrated. However, I know what you guys mean. Like there are friends in my personal life too that they're like, I just, you know, all her songs sound the same or I just don't get it. A lot of people are only listening to the ones that are on the radio. And obviously those are like, they do all sound the same. But Taylor Swift, the magic of her is in her lyricism. And I think most people would agree and know that. There's something about her music that like, I'll listen to it the first time at face value and be like, yeah, it was okay. And then I'll listen to it again and be like, ooh, that was good. Her bridges of her songs are always a 12 out of 10. Always. Always. But it's her lyrics. She words things in such a way that like on the fourth or fifth pass, you're like, oh, that's what she means. And it just stirs something deep within you. And I think a lot of people that don't get it, you're not getting to that fourth or fifth listen, which is what it is if you're not really into the sound of the music. But for me, that's where the magic of Taylor Swift lies. And so if you're never getting to that point, it is what it is. Like you're not really ever going to see that. But hey, we're all entitled to our own opinion. Now, would I have ever guessed in a quadrillion years that like this Eras tour would be like literally impossible to get tickets to? No. Like when I saw her Reputation tour, I mean, it was packed and amazing, but I don't know. Here's something interesting. I think I've shared before. So I got to meet her, and it was all through one of my dear friends that I've known for so long. He works in radio, and he was like, hey, this was to the Reputation tour. He was like, hey, I have a free ticket. You can meet her backstage with me, front row of the concert. I was like, yeah. And again, Taylor Swift was big then, but not at the level she's at now. So I'm like, oh my gosh, heck yeah, let's do it. So we get to meet her. It was so cool because it was like us in a room of like 10 other people, but they were all like radio people. And so like she kind of knew some of them because again, like this is the world where she has to kind of not schmooze, but you know, schmooze with radio DJs, etc. across the country. So I got to meet her. It was unreal. She was super nice. She complimented my shirt and I was like, it's from Target. It's from Target. Like, she's going to be going to Target to buy it. Like, can you believe it? But she was so nice and gracious. Anyway, I overheard her saying to one of the DJs that she was like, yeah, like, I know a lot of people don't love stadium tours, but I just love them. Like, I'm so sad this tour is almost over. If I could choose, I would always do these big stadium tours, blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was such an odd thing. I'm like, why? But now knowing that she's got this Eras tour and it is literally like the biggest stadium tour of all, and probably of all time. I'm like, well, good for her. This is exactly what she wanted to do. So I think it's kind of sweet to know that like that really is what she likes, what she prefers, and she's getting to do it. And then some. Anyway, still holding out hope to get tickets in November of next year here in Indy, but you know, we'll see. At this point, it's not a matter of like if I could get tickets, because you can. It's what price am I comfortable paying, you know? And like at a certain point, anyway. All right, enough about that, because I know a lot of you guys aren't into Taylor Swift. Rach Dellinger said, Teslas are ugly, LOL. I think some of them are a little ugly, but I think some of them are kind of cool looking. I think they've gotten better looking over the years. You know what I mean? Like I feel like early on Teslas were kind of odd looking, but nowadays like I'll see it one drive by and be like, ooh. Okay, Courtney said, coffee snobs are up there with the worst kind of food and drink snobs. I would agree with that. I remember talking about this years ago in a video too, but like there is something that really to my core bothers me when someone is proud of being a snob about something. And I feel like that's probably something when we were younger we would even say. Like, you know how you just kind of mature out of things like that? I feel like that's something that people should mature out of, but some people don't. And it bothers me when people are like, well, I'm really kind of a snob about this. I'm like, that is signaling to me when someone says that to me is my tastes are more discerning than yours are. So, and I know that's not what they mean, but that is 100% the message that gets across. Like, yeah, I know you like that kind of, let's say coffee, whatever. I know you like that kind of coffee, but like, I'm kind of a coffee snob. So like my tastes are like more discerning than yours. So, I mean, think about it. That's what you're saying. So if you're someone that still says you're a snob about something, it's okay to be a snob about something. I don't think, but it's like, think about how you talk about it. Think about how you say, you know, because again, being a snob about something simply just means you have opinions and you have certain ones you really like and you know why you like them. So, and obviously there's nothing wrong with that, but it's the way you present that kind of thing that I think really matters and can really bother people. And I would agree with that. I also, and that always connects to me, like, I used to, again, I matured out of the thought of like thinking about travel. Tyler and I used to be like, oh, well, we don't want to do like touristy stuff because, but I'm like, but we've both realized like touristy stuff can be fun and cheesy stuff can be fun and things are popular for a reason. It's kind of like when you were in high school and someone was like, oh, same thing. Like, well, I'm a music snob. So like, again, my tastes are more discerning than yours. You little commoner. Like, you know, it's kind of the same thing. Like you grow out of that, you hope to grow out of that stage. So I don't know. That's something that for the rest of my life, probably it will always bother me. So yeah, I just think there's something to enjoying cheesy, fun stuff just for the sake of it. And anyone that's going to be, you know, hating on you because their tastes are more discerning than yours, commoner, who cares? Who cares? Let them have their snobbery. And life's just too freaking short, you guys. Life is too short. Like, just enjoy stuff. I recently repurchased the Tower 28 mascara, and yep, it is just as good as I remembered. I missed it so much. It catches every lash, it curls, it is the best mascara I've ever tried. I think I can say, especially having bought it again, just like to make sure, I can safely say it is the best mascara I've ever tried. Above, even like, you know, I love my Essence one and I still think that one's awesome. I was just talking to a girlfriend about it last night, but this one takes the cake. It is so good. Okay. Brit said, crumbl cookies are overrated. We were just having this discussion. So Benita, Tyler's mom, just recently brought over crumbl cookies and it was such a sweet surprise and we were enjoying them. I think it depends on the cookie you get and the cookies change all the time. I was just talking to Taylor Wynn the other day about this because she is a big crumbl cookie fan and I was like, hey, what is like your favorite? Like, are there ones? And she named a couple, but the point is they change all of the time. And I feel like if you aren't into that kind of cookie, you 100% will not like them. I definitely lean more towards like more of a traditional, like slightly crunchy, slightly chewy cookie versus a very soft cookie. So I think that's a big piece of it. Like you either like that kind of cookie or you don't. And then within that, if you do like that kind of cookie, it depends on which ones you get. So I do think the hype is so interesting. And I'm like, man, crumbl really did something that somehow disrupted this cookie industry that like now they're everywhere. And I'm like, what did they do right that was different than other cookie places? You know what I mean? Because like, I'm like, where is the competing company that does them but does the kind of cookies I like? Like, where's that company? Those could be called like, or crumbl should like compete with themselves and do like crackle cookies. And those ones are crunchy. But it'd be crackle without the E, right? I am so guilty of this one. It's on my nail set. When influencers say, if you've never heard of, oh, that one's making fun of me too. But I can tell you why we all do that. It's definitely like within a sponsorship. So like, for example, just the other day I said, if you've never heard of Casetify, HelloFresh, Thrive Market, like those are my sponsors of the channel. I think the reason we say it is it's hard to find a segue into like what the brand is wanting you to say. And so having that like go-to one has just become comfortable to like start into the talking point. So now I'm never going to say that the same. I might have to think of a new segue. If you've never heard of, I guess you could just directly go in like, HelloFresh is a blah, 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 but it just feels more comfortable to like lead into it. So you got me. Yeah, I'm totally guilty of that. Yeah, we all do it. I know. Okay. Courtney Rose said, I hate it when influencers say, I'm just a blank girly. So that's definitely a thing, right? Like people are always saying like, or I saw another one. If I find it, it was basically like, I hate when people are like, I'm in my, you know, fitness era or whatever. Those are just two things that are going around, right? Like, it's just one of those phrases, if you will, saying you're in a certain era or that you're just a pumpkin coffee girly, that sometimes it makes me kind of roll my eyes a little bit too. I've certainly been guilty of saying both of those, I'm sure. But I also, again, it's like all in good fun. Like, who cares? It'll fade, but I know what you mean. Especially the girly one kind of makes me giggle. I don't know why. I think anytime I've heard someone like over 30 like myself say it, it makes me giggle. Even myself saying it, I'm like, girl. Anyway, oh my gosh, Nebraska Raw said, the transition from 1 to 2 kids is way harder than 0 to 1. I wonder what the actual popular opinion on that is. Like, is it more people think 0 to 1 is harder than 1 to 2? I think 0 to 1 was harder, so I disagree. But I can see what you mean, and I also think it matters, like, I feel like Genevieve was a harder baby than Felicity. So if you had them in the other order, I think it might be dependent a lot on the personality of the kids in which order they're born. For example, my niece, who, I mean, it's my older brother, so she's like nearly my age. I've been an aunt since I was like 3 or 4. Anyway, her first kid was super easy. The second kid was super not. And so I think, like for her, she would probably say the transition from 1 to 2 was harder as well. So I'd be curious. But yeah, for me, 0 to 1, because it's a total life upheaval. Like everything changes. Everything. Haley J. Beauty said, I prefer the 2016 to 2018 full glam makeup era to the modern clean girl makeup. That is an unpopular opinion. Oh my gosh. I'm biased because I've never been, like I would try to do like more glammy looks, but I was never like a big time full glam beauty guru type. And so when this kind of like more chill trend came about, I'm like, perfect. That's already what I was basically doing. I was forcing myself to like do this more glam stuff, but I would much rather do this. But it's such a personal thing. Like if you like the way you look in those full glam, then it makes sense that, you know, you would still be into that. I just always feel like on me, for whatever reason, it always looked so harsh. And I don't know. I definitely like, I'll look back at pictures or like videos, old videos of mine versus now. And I'm like, I really do like the way I do my makeup better now, but it's such a personal thing. It's such a personal thing. So, but yeah, that is definitely an unpopular opinion. That is so fascinating. How many of you guys are way more into the full glam? I think it's going to swing back around. Like anything, it's a pendulum. I feel like that will eventually, it'll start slow, you know? It'll start slow and then it'll start burning and smoldering and it'll eventually, we'll be back to full glam, full lashes, etc. But it's funny because if I ever see someone in person that's got like full glam and it looks really good, I'm always tempted to go home and be like, yeah, and I'm going to use like all my loose powders. I'm going to like do all of the things because she looked so good. And then I'll like look in the mirror and I'm like, it's just like emphasizing all of the things I don't want. Boo. Kimmy Ann said soggy cereal is better than crunchy cereal. No, I am a crunchy cereal girly. But Tyler likes soggy cereal. So like if we're doing our cereal date in bed from time to time and he's pouring, I'm like, Tyler, please wait to pour in the almond milk into mine until I'm like ready. Like I want to sit down and it be crunchy. He pours his in and waits like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh. But that is definitely like, you either like it one way or the other. I don't feel like there's an in-between, and I want all the crunch. It's part of the experience, you know? I really want that peanut butter Captain Crunch to just really cut up my tongue, you know? If you know, you know. I feel personally affronted by this one. Hazy-eyed girl said, all the trendy fashion styles are awful. French tuck, fanny packs, joggers. I like all of those things. Oh, that's funny. I could name like, I feel like other trendy fashion styles that maybe I don't like, but like those are ones I do. So it's just funny. A lot of things about The Office, Friends, Gilmore Girls, like people saying, I think The Office is stupid, or I think The Office is better than Friends. A lot of people saying Gilmore Girls is overrated. It's just a bunch of talking, blah, blah, blah. Gilmore Girls is a very specific vibe. Like you either like it or you don't. And I don't think if you don't, you should force it because I think it's not one that will grow on. It'll grow on you. It'll grow on you. And things do get, like, they level out a bit. I feel like the first season is awful to get through of Gilmore Girls because it's just like, I don't know. But I feel like they do hit their stride and it starts to feel a little more normal and it's not always just the crazy fast talking. They have those moments, but it's not always like that. But it takes time, and I feel like if you start it and you get through season 1, maybe even season 2, and you're like, it is what it is. I just love the vibes of it. It's one that I'll have on in the background. I don't feel like I need to like watch it all the way through, but it's just the vibes. But I also have that nostalgia where I did watch it when I was younger. I think if you didn't watch it when you were younger, it might be even harder to get into and understand because that is a big piece of it is I have memories attached to watching that in the fall, like in my room at my parents' house, like lighting a candle, the windows open, I don't know, that kind of thing. Sarsar said, TikTok is overrated. I prefer long form content. I got a lot about that. I think, they just each have their place. Like you're either into it or you're not. I don't watch TikTok I see TikToks on Instagram, like the joke, oh, you're in your 30s when Instagram, or what was it? Instagram is just for people over 30 to watch repurposed TikToks. I'm like, yep. I have my TikTok. I upload to it, but I don't actively look on there because it is a time suck for me. And Instagram, I can walk away from. But TikTok really became a problem, and so I want to still upload over there. I just don't watch stuff over there. And it's funny because I'll hear people that do what I do that are like, oh, I saw these kinds of things on TikTok, and I'm like, gosh. Like, I don't watch it enough to, like, know that. And so I kind of, in that way, I feel left out. But I also know it's not worth it for me. I see plenty of it on Instagram to get that vibe. But, yeah, it's just interesting. I'm thankful that I can watch some of it on Instagram and it not be as overwhelming. And I like short form content to a certain extent, like, just to kill, like, a little bit of time. But, like, there will always be a place for long form content because, sometimes you're wanting to actually watch something. and you don't want to have to like still be doing that, or you're folding laundry and you're not going to be watching short form content while you're doing that, but you might put on a YouTube video, you know. You also might be watching The Office, etc. Yeah, I feel like the Tower 28 concealer definitely creases a bit. Like, there's no doubt about that. I mean, most concealers do, but I'm definitely noticing that. Okay, this is actually, I totally want to talk about that. Sid2526 said, bachelorette parties are out of control. The chaos is too much to ask of people. Money, time, travel, stress. I've talked to my friends a lot about this because a lot of them are like in that stage where they're like, everyone they know is getting married. And so they've got like, especially like one of my friends, they were like part of a sorority or fraternity, and like every single person, they're going to all of the bachelor or bachelorette parties, or at least a lot of them. And I mean, we're talking like, we're going to Aspen, everyone's spending thousands of dollars on the flights and the like deluxe resort we're staying at and this, that, and the other. And it's a week, so you're going to have to take off of work. Hope you have enough PTO. Like, the asks are so huge. And I feel like, you know, the last person's trying to top the last person with like a cooler, nicer, more out there place. And it just gets to the point where it's like, what are we even doing, guys? Like, can everyone even afford that? And when they're like a couple a year that they're going to, I'm like, oh my gosh. And like, how do you have enough time? Like, you can't even travel with your family because you're like, all your PTO is sucked up in going to these parties. So no, I agree. They have gotten absolutely out of control. It's different, you know, if you're, I don't know. I'm sure someone is watching this and they're like, but I'm doing that. Like, I think that's awesome. And if your friends can all swing it and you've talked through it, but I just think it's a lot to expect of people. And people want to be able to go. They want to go to the party and they want to do that, this, that, and the other. But I think there can be a way to do it to cut costs and still maybe go to a cool place, maybe not do a whole week. Like, it's just a big ask. It's a big ask. Anyway, I think that is all we're going to do today. I could go on and on with these. I think this is such a fun, maybe we'll do this again in a little while. It's so fun to just talk about the things that, you know, you're always seeing the one opinion pushed around on, let's say, social media. So it's always refreshing to hear like the opposite end. And I think a lot of our unpopular opinions are probably more popular than we realize. It's just, again, a lot of things getting pushed out are the opposite. So I hope you enjoyed. I certainly did. And now I'm ready for the day. It's always a nice feeling to be able to kill two birds with one stone. So what else? I don't know. Come say hey to me over on my Instagram. It's Jessica Braun over there. And I'm always on my stories chatting. That's where I get a lot of like listener input from you guys over there. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I upload around 2 videos a week. I do a lot of makeup, drugstore makeup content. I also do vlogs. I do chatty videos like this a lot as well. So I'd love to have you join our little family by subscribing. It is totally free, and that just means that YouTube will push my videos out to your feed more often, so you would more often be able to see what I'm up to, what videos I'm posting. I love you all. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.